Thanks for watching. Sprint Cup qualifying at Watkins Glen is next. We're going over to
ESPN2.
Thank you. And thank you, Alan. Everybody who's just switching over to ESPN, joining us for what is going to be some very exciting NASCAR Sprint Cup qualifying action as we are getting ready for our race tomorrow. Our coverage at 1 Eastern on ESPN. And of course, we'll start at 12 noon with NASCAR Countdown. But right now, we've got to determine who's going to go home, who's going to start on pole with this field of cars that is back at the Glen. And as we look from high above the beautiful view of Watkins Glen, let's take a look and show you exactly how this 3.4-mile track in its original configuration with what is known as the boot, and you'll see it right about here, and then NASCAR, we cut that boot off and turn it into 2.45 miles.
Yeah, it's much more conducive to the type of race now, even though my dad and them used to race on the long course, but you can see it's going to be 7 turns. We've got a bus stop back there, Indy.
Yeah, and there's still plenty of turns to get in trouble. You see the big left-hander there, turn 6, and then turn 7. Turns you right back to the front straightaway.
And the bus stop has been some of the best action all weekend long in both the NASCAR Nationwide Series and in Sprint Cup action. And there you get a look at it from high above and what it looks like as you have that hard braking zone, that quick right, left, right combination. Here are the practice speeds from yesterday in happy hour. And we were talking about this yesterday. Greg Biffle coming off some big momentum, started back at Indianapolis.
He did. He got a great finish there and actually almost got the win. And then he did get the win at Pocono. Came here with all that momentum, and he paced both practice sessions. And to me, it's all, we were talking about where's Jack Roush and when are they going to win and all that. Now all of a sudden he's on top, and the Hendrick cars who were dominant are nowhere to be seen.
As you look down through the top 10, you notice that none of the Hendrick Motorsports cars are in that top 10. We'll talk more about that as the day continues to progress. But as we get ready for qualifying action right now, you can see just how many, man, the campers are just out in droves. All right, let's first bring in our pit reporters for the day and get them cranked up. Mike Massaro, you're up first.
Well, as you just mentioned, Marty, Greg Biffle, quite the story. He comes into this weekend 11th in the championship standings. He was asked this weekend what his mindset is with 5 regular season races to go, and he said, I know we're in the fight of our lives to qualify for the chase. With his Pocono win, though, confidence is extremely high, and they have very fast race cars this weekend. They were the fastest in both practice sessions on Friday afternoon. Today, they come in looking for their first career road course win for Greg Biffle. Dave?
And Mike, for a guy who has won 9 times on the road courses and 4 times right here at Watkins Glen, yesterday was not a stellar day for Jeff Gordon. Struggled in practice, and I had a chance to talk to your crew chief a little bit. Can you sort of sum up for me what you guys are trying to work on and give your car so that it's a little better than, gosh, what was it, 39th in the second practice?
Well, you know, we really didn't get a qualifying lap in. Went to make one, and I got a little bit loose going into the bus stop. So, I mean, that lap was probably going to put us much higher up on the board, but still wasn't a great day. You know, we really struggled with some things. We did the Goodyear tire test here and didn't struggle with really any of the things that we're struggling with now for that tire test. So, obviously something's changed, and a lot of guys up and down the garage area are you know, dealing with some of the same issues. Certainly at Hendrick Motorsports, across the board, we're dealing with a lot of the same issues. But some guys are getting it figured out, you know, and that's what we've got to do. So we tapped into our resources, not only our debrief and our teammates, but, you know, with the Stewart Haas team. And just trying to do everything we can. We'll see how it works out. Steve, I know, he probably didn't sleep a whole lot last night. You know, we've had great success here in the past, there's no doubt about it, but we haven't since we brought this car. You know, ever since we changed to this car, I just have a really hard time, you know, getting the feel that I like to have around here. So something that we're working hard on, and I know Steve's made a ton of changes, and it's just going to be one of those laps where you go out cold and I only have 1 lap to do it in, and we'll see. I'm going to try to get the cleanest and best. You know, you got to be aggressive here qualifying, be as aggressive as I can, and try to keep it on the racetrack.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Good luck with getting that around. And I did check with Steve Letarte on sleep. He said a little, guys.
Well, and don't forget, Scott Pruitt is on standby duty just in case somebody goes into labor back home, but we'll keep you posted on that. Let's talk about two things. If you were not with us for NASCAR Nationwide qualifying, new track record. Can we expect the same thing?
I think maybe we can. You know, we've talked about some of the improvements and changes that they've made around this racetrack, and what it's done is opened up the racetrack where these guys can carry some more speed around here. So I think we're definitely looking at the possibility of that.
And they also have a new tire here. You heard Jeff talking about the tire test, and they did that tire test here, and it looks like they're struggling a little bit with this combination that Goodyear's come up with, but some teams do have it figured out, and it does have a lot of grip.
One other thing, if you were not with us for Nationwide qualifying, it was in groups, European style. You had more than one chance. If you missed a lap, you could go back and go for another. Not going to be the case.
Not the case here. These guys have one opportunity, and these 7 turns plus the bus stop gives them ample opportunities to make a mistake. And when you make one, it kind of magnifies. You tend to make a couple of more along the way. And you talk about losing 2 or 3 tenths of a second. And, you know, on an oval, that would be just dramatic, and you would be way back. Here, it just seems to magnify and also get you up where you're a second off the pace and a bad starting spot. And that's not good for if you want to try to win this race.
And the teams will tape up the front of the cars, and they'll try to get everything they can in that one lap. So it's going to make the cars fast. They do have to leave a little bit opening for even the brakes sometimes, because they really hard on these brakes, and they have to get just a very little bit of air in there to cool the engine the short amount of time they're there. But they'll be able to lay down a fast lap.
All right, well, let's talk about what the schedule holds for us today. All you have to do is stay with us here on ESPN, because things are going to keep moving all the way through. Coming up next, obviously, we got the NASCAR Nationwide Series race from here at Watkins Glen. And then also, we've got NASCAR Now tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. presented by 5 Hour Energy. That's on ESPN2, as well as tomorrow night at 11 Eastern on ESPN2. Now, NASCAR Sprint Cup action, we've got the race presented by GoDaddy.com tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Coverage starts at noon with NASCAR Countdown. We come back, we'll get to qualifying here at the Glen. One of the stops that all racers want to make is after a victory, because, well, either the laurel wreath for IndyCar or your photo, and you hang it on the wall at the Seneca Lodge, and it is definitely a bucket list item if you come to Watkins Glen. Qualifying on what has been a spectacular weekend. Temperatures right now in the low 60s. The sun shining bright. Talk about that again. We'll remind you on ESPN tomorrow with, of course, countdown starting at noon. The magic number, 71 minute 10.79. And boy, with these conditions, we already saw it, like we mentioned, in the Nationwide Series.
I'll almost be surprised if they don't break it. I really see that as being attainable today. I think the cars have really come a long way. They've got the spoiler on them now, which seems to really, you know, the drivers seem to take to pretty well, and they've really improved this car so much. Every year they come up here, you know, you learn something that you can take back and make your car better for the next time you come.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, yesterday in practice, Greg Biffle was 3 tenths of a second off of that track record. So it is cooler here today. They've done a little bit more getting these cars ready to qualify, and the drivers always get a little bit extra out. So you would think that they were going to be able to set a new record here today.
And Robbie Gordon, one of those cars that could be playing a key role, as he is very good on the road course. And let's take a look at some of the specialists that we have. We don't want to call them ringers. Doesn't sound as nice as specialists. But you got B.J. Jones, Patrick Carpentier, Tony Ave, Ron Fellows, Andy Lally, who is right there in the first car, getting ready to head out on course. And, of course, Boris Said. Total of 13 double-duty drivers. Boris Said's actually running in all 3. Later today, he's going to be running in the sports car race. Andy Lally's doing the Cup Series and the Grand Am race later today here at the Glen. And let's take a look at the warm-up lap as we'll get a chance now with Andy Lally, as he is a 3-time Grand Am Rolex Series champion in the GT class. He has 23 wins. I remember last year at Montreal, he and Brendan Gaughan teamed up and finished second in their class in that race.
Now, this is the bus stop right here that you hear, Scott. Note that even though you're turning 2, 3, 4, even maybe 6 or 7 times, depending on how your car's handling through there, we don't list it as one of the corners. This is coming out of 5 here.
Well, if you look back at that bus stop, would you consider that probably the toughest part of the course to hit right on this one qualifying lap?
I think absolutely. You want to carry a lot of speed in there, but we saw the majority of the problems that people had yesterday with their cars getting loose through that area and on the exit trying to go around through turn 5.
You see where Andy started last year in 15th. He ended up finishing 27th. He was on the lead lap, even though he was that far back. Comes across the stripe, gets the green flag, and the clock is now running on Andy Lally.
Yeah, in years past, it's been you've kind of had to strike a balance to decide how hard you wanted to run in that warm-up lap to use your tires some, get some heat in them. I think with the cooler temperature and with this tire, what we've seen is these guys are going to go pretty hard right out of the pits to get some heat in the tire with the cooler temperatures here.
There you see his stats from where he finished back in New Hampshire. 5 of the last 6 races here at the Glen were won from a top 10 starting position. Only Tony Stewart's 13th starting position broke that string, so that's why qualifying seems to be pretty doggone important.
Well, he looked pretty solid through there. We'll have to see time-wise just how that stacks up, but car's not doing anything crazy for Andy right at this point.
So he's able to use that little extra room they've paved over there to carry some momentum off that corner.
Yeah, where he went there used to be grass right there, and obviously you didn't want to get in that.
Same thing here. They can charge this corner just a little harder than they used to because they do have that asphalt that they can, catch themselves and not get in trouble.
Well, Andy's going to set the benchmark for everybody. Comes awfully close to the safer barrier at turn 7, the final turn down the front straightaway, and he crosses the stripe in a minute 12.68 seconds.
It's about 1/10 of a second faster than what he ran yesterday.
And you notice that just like in nationwide qualifying, when they finish, they make the hard right turn after turn number 1 and head on back to the garage area. We talked a little bit about Robbie Gordon just a few moments ago. We saw him there doing an interview. Let's flash back to 2003 because Robbie in that number 31 Chevrolet came home to take the win here at the Glen. And as he was celebrating back then, let's talk to him now, Mike Massaro.
And this has always been a pretty good racetrack for Robbie Gordon. In fact, he's led over 100 laps here over the course of his career. What do you think you have for him in qualifying today?
I think the speed car is pretty good. How I say it, we didn't really make a qualifying run yesterday, so I know we showed up 22nd on the board or something like that, but we're a lot better than that. And I think when we get a qualifying lap here in, we'll take what we get. I figure we're going to fall somewhere between 5th and probably 15th. And maybe we got enough for the pole, I don't know, but we didn't work on qualifying. We worked on the race setup. With practice the way it was yesterday, it was very different just practicing on Friday and now having to come in on Saturday and just bang out a quick lap. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Certainly will be interesting. Off camera, though, guys, Robbie was telling me the track changes might change things a little bit.
And I guess the big question is in what way, as we will see. Are the guys going to play a little rougher or just give everybody a little more room? You want to chime in on that?
I think it may be rougher, and it's going to be a good thing we've got more room now. Just, it's going to allow the guys to be more aggressive. We've seen that happen down here in turn 1 since they took the sand trap away, that we've seen a lot more contact down in that area, but it's contact that the guys just slide down there, and then they're on their way again.
Martin Truex, and you can see the tracker compared to Andy Lally, the man who was first out. Martin, of course, it's been a bit of a struggle lately, fallen from 12th place in the points after Charlotte to 20th now. He's 281 behind 12th.
He does have a pole this year, though, at Dover.
Qualified 10th back at Infineon in June, but ran into some misfortune and finished 42nd in that race.
See, Martin really using that extra pavement over there. Even some of the grass.
Yeah.
Kicked up a little dust.
I think that's an area we'll see tomorrow get used a lot more, too, as guys try to race off of there side by side.
Well, he's definitely good enough to become the newest pole sitter out of the 2 cars. He's got a big advantage coming through. As you can see, nice shot down low as he heads over the rumble strips and then to the checkered flag. And Martin Truex Jr. comes in a good 0.3 of a second quicker than Andy Lally at a minute 12.3. So Martin, as he makes his way back towards the garage area, we'll get ready for Jeff Gordon. You heard from him earlier, not real happy with his car. He practiced yesterday. His final position, 39th. In the first practice, he was 30th. So it just was, but he did not take the qualifying run. Of course, Jeff has a great history here. In his first 8 attempts, ended up winning a total of 4 times, and was laying claim to trying to maybe rename this place. Instead of Watkins Glen, Jeff Gordon Raceway. But the last few years, it has been a struggle for him. After the last win back in 2001, he has not done better than a 9th place finish. And as he comes through the bus stop chicane.
Well, we heard Jeff talk in an interview just a little bit ago that since they started with this car here, he's attributing a lot to that he just hasn't got the feel that he needs to run up front and try to win races.
You saw the stat there. You know, he won 6 straight road course races in all between 1997 and 2000. But as we pointed out, he sat on pole back here in 03 and again in 07. And it was 07. That was his last best finish. The last time he cracked the top 10, 9th place.
And this is it right here. This is the last lap he'll run today before the race. They don't get to practice after this. All the practice yesterday, it is a little different for this series to do that. You know, they came in here and did all that yesterday and had to do all the race practice and qualifying trim practice in one day and then come out here and lay a lap down. We'll see what Jeff's got.
Yeah, we haven't done this on the road course, and I would think that'd be very difficult getting in the car on a road course, trying to get your rhythm and everything without being in the car previously, when we used to always do it on Friday afternoon after we'd had an hour and a half or 2 hours of practice.
Lap tracker very close with Martin Truex now as he goes through the bus stop dipping south.
Yeah, yesterday Jeff talked about they didn't make a mock qualifying run. He made an attempt, but it was right there going to the bus stop that he got really loose and aborted the run. So you can see him take it a little easier right there. Lost a little bit of time, but gaining it back here now out of turn 5.
Still looking to snap that 50-race winless streak, and of course ended up 6th last week at Pocono after leading those 39 laps.
His car looked really good in the last part of that corner, that carousel corner. This is really the big left-hand turn on this course. He loses just a little bit of that time there in the left-hand. Solid there, though.
Heads down the straightaway, and again.
Way better than I thought they were going to be.
He probably left a little bit out there, but I think his car was much tighter. He struggled with a very, and probably if he'd known it,
1 minute 11.8 seconds, the new benchmark. Remember, the record's 1:10. And just as we come back, David Rudiman completes his 1 lap for qualifying and will slide into the 3rd fastest of the 4 cars that have taken times at a minute 12.57 seconds. And so we've got 4 cars with Jeff Gordon leading the way right now. And let's talk to him, Dave.
Marty, let's find out with that one solitary lap how close he came to solving the woes he experienced yesterday.
Well, I felt some real positive things in the car, that's for sure. You know, the car turned a little bit better to the lefts than I was expecting, so we gave up a little bit on the lefts. But I saw some things that have some real potential, so I'm very happy about that. Thank Steve Attar and this entire DuPont Chevrolet team for working so hard. I think while that's going to be about a second off the pace, I think it's certainly a big gain from yesterday. And got to thank Tony Stewart and all the guys at Stewart Haas as well for helping us out. I think we found some things that are going to be a big gain for the race tomorrow and something to work on in the future, so I'm excited about that.
A direction, that's a very good thing, guys.
Hey, Dave, wish Jeff a happy birthday for us. Earlier this week, he turned 39. On the same day, Kurt Busch turned 32. And his crew chief, Chad Knaus, turned 39 yesterday. On track now, Matt Kenseth. And Matt had a little incident yesterday, got turned, just a little bit damage as Paul Menard, they got into each other a little bit for practice. And it was about 5 minutes into the practice session, but no real damage to the car. They just lost a little bit of time, and right now as he goes on the clock, we'll find out if he can improve on his 3rd best qualifying start. He started 3rd back here in 07. Let's check in quickly with Mike Massaro.
And catching up with Clint Bowyer, he was 12th in the final practice yesterday. What are your expectations here in qualifying?
Well, you know, it was a good run for us. This is a hard day of qualifying. For me, not growing up a road racer, struggling on this track at Watkins Glen. You know, we practiced yesterday, had a lot of time in between practice yesterday and qualifying today to think about it and to mess this lap up. So hopefully the driver will do his part. Certainly the guys in the Cheerios, Hamburger Helper Chevrolet have done their part of bringing a good race car. You know, I think the car's there to qualify somewhere in the top 10 if I don't make a mistake.
Well, certainly a realistic expectation, guys. Clint Bowyer finished in the top 10 here at Watkins Glen a year ago, Marty.
And as you finish up, we're watching the lap tracker going in the wrong direction for Matt Kenseth. Now remember, he's being compared to Jeff Gordon's time of 1:11.83 seconds.
Yeah, Matt was not too far off there until he got there to turn 6, and That seemed to be, we saw Jeff Gordon kind of ease out of the throttle there and then make a lot of time from the exit of turn 6 all the way to the start-finish line.
Well, he practiced 25th overall in the final practice, and right now he slots into the 4th spot out of the 5 cars at a minute 12.6 seconds.
He actually slowed down from his practice session yesterday's, which is kind of unusual. Most of the time you expect to pick up a half a second or more here just by the fact that you're in qualifying trim and drivers all pumped up out there ready to get a lap. Sometimes, though, they can just overdo it a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes you go out a little too hard and it's easy to make a mistake. And I think just what Clint Boyer was saying there, I think it's a difficult qualifying effort coming here kind of just cold turkey this morning, you know, not being in the car. Some of these guys have been in a nationwide car, and I think that will be an advantage, but they do drive differently.
Well, and you heard earlier Robbie Gordon saying as he pulls out on the course that he did not do a mock qualifying run. He was 29th in the final practice. And here's his career at Watkins Glen with that one win we showed you back in 2003, and his average finish 11.3.
We kind of saw Robbie easing up through here. He's not up to full speed. He's with the idea in his head that he wants to save the very new part of his tires till he gets actually over here probably around turn 6 and go a little bit harder.
While he's warming up, let's check in with a man who had the hardest hit we've seen in a long time, Elliott Sadler. Mike.
Fair with anybody.
And catching up now with Elliott Sadler, and of course the last time he was in a race was at Pocono a week ago, and we all saw what happened there. Awfully heavy hit. Good to see you here back at the race car, back behind the wheel. What's it been like for you trying to get back behind the wheel after what happened in Pocono?
Well, as far as my body and stuff, been through some therapy and stuff this week and just icing everything down. I was a little sore. And by like Wednesday, my body started feeling really good. I think it helps playing so many sports and stuff growing up, but was really looking forward to getting here to Watkins Glen. I really like this racetrack, getting to go back and forth. And the Hunt Brothers Pizza car, we did all race trim yesterday, so this will be my first crack at qualifying.
How good is your car?
It's decent. It was a little free. These tires are a lot different than what we've had in the past, but I think we'll keep digging with it. And we made some changes this morning. We'll see how it goes to qualifying today, and then we'll look at it again and go off. Maybe we can lean on our teammates if we have to, but just ready to get back in the car. Just can't thank my guys back at home enough, and for building me a safe car. NASCAR doing a good job with this new car tomorrow and all the safety features that it has. So if we can withstand a hit like that, that's pretty much means these things are pretty indestructible.
All right, guys, let's get back to the on-track activity. Robbie Gordon.
Yeah, Robbie was really good through the bus stop, but he's losing a little bit. It's heading a little south.
Well, that's compared to Jeff Gordon's lap, and Jeff got off of that corner really well down that straightaway, so he's losing just a little bit to Jeff's time, but still he's right there at that pole speed.
So close. Right now, about a 1/10 of a second underneath. Can he hold on to it? It's going to be close. At the stripe, he comes across, and Robbie Gordon is now ahead of Jeff Gordon by just 1/10 of a second. So the man who finished second in Infineon in June, that was his best finish since finishing second here in 05, is right now our current pole sitter. Back here at Watkins Glen, Sprint Cup qualifying, and David Reagan on the lap right now, where he coming off a 20 back at it and through the final corner, heading for the stripe. He practiced in 32nd. The checkered flag comes out. He is the slowest so far that have taken times, a minute 12.88 seconds. Don't think he's going to be real happy with that lap. Let's talk to our provisional pole sitter right now, Dave.
Well, and Marty, he sounded skeptical on the radio about it holding up, but were you happy with your performance there?
Well, you know, 1170 is probably going to end up around 10th, and I thought I had between a 5th and a 15th place car in qualifying, but we spent the whole session in race trim, didn't really get to make a qualifying opportunity yesterday, so pretty happy the way that felt. If I had it over again, I'd adjust a couple more things, and I'm sure we could run 1120 or something like that, but I'm happy with the speed car.
All right, the 7 car on the pole for right now, guys.
All right, thank you, Dave. Let's, while we got a moment, let's talk a little baseball. Sunday and Monday night, Major League Baseball coverage. First, we've got the Red Sox and the Yankees, and it's going to be on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Then on ESPN's Monday Night Baseball at 7 Eastern, Cardinals and the Reds, both games available on ESPN3.com. And we're flying low over Seneca Lake, and right now, Regan Smith is flying low around to turn number 6. He's on the warm-up lap. You know, Regan from Cato, New York, about 25 miles west of Syracuse, and he used to drive microds down there at the age of 4. There's like mini quarter midgets in this area. He went back to the track this past week and they found an old trophy of his where he was track champion in 1994, and they gave it to him. He said it really brought back some memories for him.
I tell you, it's amazing that see these young guys, the ages they started racing and getting the experience and things. Makes it fun, especially when you can find trophies you didn't know you had.
Well, in 07 he ran here, started 10th, finished 37th, but he was a total of 8 laps down. They had a bunch of problems, and in practice he was 34th quickest, and right now you can see on lap tracker compared to Robbie Gordon.
I think this type of racing is where when you get into single car teams or even 2-car operations, it makes it more difficult because there's so much that goes into making these cars go now. It used to not be like that, but there's so much technology there now, Andy.
And the other thing is it only run a couple of these a year, so you don't get all this data as a single car team. I mean, you even heard Jeff Gordon saying he was thanking Tony Stewart's team and the Stewart-Haas guys for helping them out in a jam when they just were a little bit off. So sharing that information in a large organization can really help you get there a lot quicker.
Well, the 2008 Rookie of the Year is out of the final corner, heading for the stripe. Checkered flag flies, and he slots himself into the 4th position out of the 8 cars now that have taken times 1:12.4 seconds.
Pretty solid lap.
Yeah, he picked it up a little bit, about 1/10.5 from his practice effort yesterday, so that's always a good thing.
And while we've got a moment, why don't we talk to the pole sitter from Nationwide, who's also going to be our in-race reporter for our Sprint Cup coverage. That would be Marcus Ambrose.
And it would indeed, and already a great qualifying effort on the Nationwide side. What do you say? Is a sweep in the works today?
I got my lucky shoes on, so that counts. But, you know, we're really excited about our qualifying chances today. But we've made some changes overnight. I expected the track to be a little faster than what it is right now, so we may be a little too free. But if I just put a solid lap down, start somewhere near the front of the field, I'll still be happy.
After what happened in Sonoma earlier this year, I imagine you come in here quite hungry. How much is that on your mind? How much of an opportunity do you look at this weekend as?
Well, if you guys stop talking about it, it'll be completely out of my mind. You know, I've moved on from it. We let one slide, but mistakes happen, and, you know, we're here this weekend to try and win it on its own merits. There's no guarantee. You've got some seriously good guys out here, and I just want to be in contention for the last 20, 30 laps and see if we can get it done.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Marty, I would guess it's a pretty good bet putting your money on this guy if you were looking for favorites.
He's definitely the odds-on favorite. If you want to talk to Marcus, ask him a question, just log on to ESPN.com, keyword Ask the Driver, then tune into the race tomorrow, 1 Eastern, to see if your question was chosen for the telecast.
I thought it was just his talent. He says lucky shoes is what it all is.
Well, that's because he pushes real hard on that right pedal.
Here's another guy's got some lucky shoes. Look at here. Juan Pablo Montoya, he was fast yesterday in practice. He has a road course win. Not on this track, but he was pretty good yesterday.
Well, it has been one of those years. I mean, everybody heard all the conversation on the radio after the disappointment again last week at Pocono and at Indianapolis a couple of weeks earlier. But right now, all eyes focusing on one thing, qualifying for that front row.
He had 3/10 on Jeff Gordon getting into the bus stop. See how he gets off. Did a real good job up there in the S's and off turn 1 to get that advantage to that point.
And starting to build it back up now out of turn 5. See him use up all of the asphalt that's there.
It carries that speed down that straightaway.
Finished 10th back at Infineon earlier in June. Started 14th in that race. But boy, right now he is hustling this car.
Got a good lap going here. It's not going to be a track record run, but it's going to be fastest by far.
He is definitely going to take over the #1 spot. 1:11.3 by 0.4 of a second. He bumps Robbie Gordon to 2nd place. So Juan Pablo Montoya, whose best start here ever was 10th in the 3 prior runs, and his best finish 4th, right now is our provisional pole sitter for tomorrow's race.
That he was 2nd quickest in final practice yesterday, and that's about a 0.5 slower. So we may not get to that track record we thought. I think maybe things are heating up a little bit more. That was late in the afternoon yesterday, and it had cooled down quite a bit.
Well, just looking at the track temps, when we started this session, it was 68 degrees on the track and 73 at the end of practice 2 yesterday. So got to be fairly comparable as far as track temperature, but it is on the rise.
On track now, coming out on its warm-up lap, Paul Menard heading for the bus stop chicane.
Andy, some of it, too, would have to be that yesterday those guys had been in a over an hour practice session. Obviously, the drivers had their rhythm, but, two, everything's warmed up on the race car, too. Even though you heat up the oil and transmission and rear end grease, the other parts haven't been out there going today.
You really want that car kind of heat saturated, all the parts and pieces, to keep everything, free flowing, free rolling, all of these sort of things. But they have to go out here just stone cold this morning. They do the best they can to heat everything, especially the oils. And you got to keep the water cold because you're trying to make this lap with all the tape on the grill. But that could be a little bit of the speed.
Paul Menard getting ready to come out and take the green flag. He made his Sprint Cup debut back here in 2003, started 43rd in that race, and finished 29th. He's on it now.
It's always interesting to watch cars come down. I think it kind of gives you an idea of how they're going to be when they come down a high braking area, fast part of the racetrack, downhill into one. If that car, if they're having to chase the car down into that corner a little bit with the steering wheel, I think that they're going to have more problems as they get to other parts of the track. And we saw Paul be pretty straight there, whereas like Matt Kenseth, he seemed to be kind of hunting his car down through there.
Through the bus stop. His best 2010 finish this year has been 5th at Atlanta, but there has been a big improvement. At this point last year, well, he's 23rd in points. Last year at this time, he was 32nd, so they've made the improvements.
He's had a lot of solid races throughout the year, and even at times that he's gotten caught up in some things that have probably kept him from being a little higher in the points than what he actually is.
Well, last week's 13th place finish at Pocono was his 3rd straight top 15, so here he comes through the final corner. Not going to be a pole run, but as he crosses the line, we'll find out where he slides in. 10 cars have now taken times. He's in the number 4 spot at 1:12.12 seconds. Let's talk to Juan Pablo Montoya. How about it, Dave?
The provisional pole sitter right now. So a perfect lap for you by your standards?
It was a good lap. Didn't make any mistakes. But at the same time, it's hard to try to get all of it. And, if you make one mistake here, you go from maybe running a 30 to running an 80. So it was a good lap. Within check was a really good lap.
We were talking about the seat right there, and you were joking with me. We go the other way most of the time when you race. Do you want to make some modifications to your seat based on the fact that we're turning mostly right?
Yeah, I always get a little bit of a bruising on the left shoulder, so I'm going to change the seat a little to see if it gets improved. It's not a big deal, but it just bothers me.
Who knows? It could have more speed. We'll see. Juan Pablo Montoya, fastest so far, guys.
We've talked about a lot of difference. That's one thing we haven't talked about this weekend, the fact that the seat design really isn't made for a road course.
That makes Montoya's talking about. Once you get here, you think sitting in the car back at the race shop that you kind of get things and you understand what's going to have to tweak things a little bit. He laughed about maybe picking up some speed, but if you get in there and get comfortable and you're feeling a little bit certain parts of the track.
And there's A.J. Allmendinger climbing in.
There is one of those Hendrick carbon seats, and it's got the headrest that's kind of integrated into that system. And that's the other thing. They've got to have that headrest just right so they can actually see right to left as well as hold them in the car. And Tim Brewer can probably explain a little more about this seat. Tim?
Tell you what, Andy, this seat right here, the outer portion of the seat's all the same, but the insert right here, you actually have to go to Hendrick and you set in a mold, and they prepare this area. All this is to the contour of each individual's body. But when you sit in that car, Andy, you got to have those leg restraints in the right place. You got to be able to reach those pedals, turn the steering wheel, shift the car. But this seat, that's your office. It's up to your responsibility to make sure you're comfortable in it. When you get to the racetrack, it's pretty difficult to change these things around.
Yeah, but Tim, they always want us to change something when they get
Oh, yeah. Can you move that gas pedal an 1/8 of an inch? Can you do this? Can you do that? Hey, the name's Brewer. It ain't Houdini. You can't do all this stuff at the racetrack.
I thought it was Houdini.
Sometimes.
Some of the things I've seen you do.
Tim and the Craftsman Tech Garage. And, boy, look at Clint Boyer, 12th in points right now. And he's only 34 points ahead of Mark Martin. So this is one of those pivotal races for him.
Yeah, and I don't think this is the lap he's looking for either.
Car looks like it's hunting through the last couple of corners.
Boy, he's not really in control. He's having to go kind of where it's wanting to go, mind of his own.
It's almost like he talked himself into it. We heard him talking right before.
You heard him say too loose, and he comes across. Wow, 10th out of 11 drivers to take times. Now, Clint practiced 12th quickest, and a 1:12.7 is not going to be the kind of run he wanted. Let's talk to one of his teammates, Mike.
And that, of course, would be the current championship leader, Kevin Harvick. Looked awfully good in practice yesterday. Got a shot at the pole?
Well, our car's really fast. I'm really happy with it in race trim. It's got very little fall off, but I ran one really fast lap yesterday that I felt really good about, and I didn't feel too bad about the second one, and it was 7/10 slower. So I had to go back and decipher all that last night, and hopefully we rotate back to the fast lap and get a good solid lap in here.
How much margin for error is there at this racetrack when it comes to qualifying?
Well, it's just so easy to miss one corner, and you have, several corners that you can miss, but if you miss one, it screws up the whole lap. So, it's just a balance of being aggressive and trying to go for that pole, but not totally screwing up your whole lap.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Hey, Kevin Harvick, former winner here at Watkins Glen.
And Kevin's going to start third in the nationwide race, which you'll see a little bit later this afternoon right here on ESPN. Back out on track. Wow. Using it all is Elliott Sadler. And, of course, we talked to him before we started the day. Take you back to last week. And this was a scary moment. The little nudge here from Jeff Gordon, which got Kurt Busch into the wall. Or Jimmy Johnson, I should say.
Yeah, kind of started things, and it was just a chain reaction deal from there. But Elliott's going to come along here. He'd gotten tapped from behind, and just a vicious impact. He said he'd never been through anything like that. I was over talking to Elliott and his wife Amanda last night. They have their son Wyatt with them, but just a scary moment.
Man, when you see an engine late on the racetrack, you know you've hit something hard.
Yeah, and it was A.J. Allmendinger who came out later and said he was the one that got into him because he didn't realize that Elliott had checked up and couldn't do anything, and that's what started that whole chain reaction. Right now, Elliott, though, trying to get a little better run here. Didn't practice all that well.
And not good so far in this lap either. He's quite a bit off. He's tracking actually the slowest car that's run so far.
His best finish this year was 17th back at Infineon in June. Coming up towards turn number 6. His best finish here at the Glen, 7th. That was back in 2006. His best start ever was in 2004 when he started in 6th. Coming through the final corner, down the front straightaway. Not going to be the kind of run I think Elliott and the team was looking for.
Way too loose.
And again, we hear the refrain of too loose.
I think that's one of the characteristics of this tire, that the cars are just a little bit on the free side, and they're having to make adjustments for it. Some doing better than others, obviously.
As a driver, a loose race car around here it's so difficult because you're just all the time needing to pull on the steering wheel, get in the throttle, and you can drive a tighter race car, be much more aggressive with that, and probably get a little bit more speed, especially in a one-lap scenario.
Well, as Mark Martin rolls off, of course, he is well known for his prowess on all forms of motorsports. How about if we show you all-time wins at Watkins Glen, led by Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, and there's Mark, number 3, with 3, followed by Ricky Rudden. Who's that guy on the right?
So RW.
11 others.
Got a couple of wins here, always good at this track.
With 1 win. How about if we show you some of those wins for Mark Martin? As remember these days, 3 in a row right here at the Glen. And again, was sort of like this streak what Jeff Gordon had, where he could have owned the place. And there it is, great banner, 3-peat for Mark Martin. That was nicely done. And now the 2011 version of Mark Martin. Practice 21st, and we were talking, if you were with us yesterday, all 4 of the Hendrick cars were struggling.
He had to be encouraged what he saw in Jeff Gordon's qualifying run, though, and if he's made, his changes in his car that are similar, he's got to feel pretty confident that he's got something good here.
Just got a stat from Jimmy Hicks that was really interesting. The top 3 that we showed on that Watkins Glen win list, they're all winless in 2010. And they have a total of 12 combined Watkins Glen victories.
That section right there, Montoya really got through well, and you can see Mark off of his time through there. One section of the track that Montoya was just, I would say, average would have been through here, through this part of the track.
And remember, Boyer did not have such a great run as he is right now, shown in the 10th of 12 cars. So opportunity for Mark if he could put up a good number to at least start ahead of him. Remember, he's 34 points back in that chase.
Yeah, and this is the one race, kind of the wild card today. Although anything can happen anywhere, these drivers look at this. The ones that are trying to secure themselves in that top 12 and the others that are trying to make their way up there, they see this as opportunity, and others look at it as we don't want to mess up and cost ourselves a lot of points here. So could be a big day tomorrow for all of these guys right around that 12th spot.
Well, he's through the final corner and down the front straightaway, and you can tell by lap tracker it is not going to be close to a pole run, but good enough right now for the 5th position at 1:12.17 seconds. Stay with us. A lot more qualifying still to come. Back here at Watkins Glen, our Phoenix pole winner, A.J. Allmendinger, who just signed a new contract extension with Richard Petty Motorsports, just moved into the number 2 spot with a very clean run at 11.34 seconds. Missed the pole by 4/100ths, guys.
Well, you think how many turns could you get under there? But that was a great lap for A.J.
Yeah, it really was. He's showing that on the road courses, I think at other places too, as he learns more about these race cars and the different tracks.
Now on Marcus Ambrose. But let's talk to the guy who was really fast yesterday in practice, Greg Biffle. How about it, Mike?
And he's looking for his first career road course pole. What do you say? Will it come today?
I certainly hope so. You know, these guys have given me a great car, and now it's all up to me. I just hope I don't let them down. I just don't want to make any mistakes and just run one good lap. Hopefully I got one more in me before Sunday.
With this win, or with your win a week ago in Pocono, I'd imagine this team comes in with a little bit of momentum, confidence being high. What did that win do for you that might carry over into this weekend?
Well, certainly confidence level is really high, you know, and that's what we're looking for. Just carry that confidence and that momentum into qualifying here in a little bit and tomorrow.
All right, best of luck.
Thank you.
Greg Biffle, as you mentioned, Marty, the fastest in both practices on Friday.
And right now, here is the man who is going to start on pole later this afternoon in the Nationwide Series race, and who started 4th here last year and finished 2nd in Sprint Cup action, Marcus Ambrose.
See what he can do. He was concerned that his car may be a little bit on the loose side here.
Well, this is somebody that's able to pace Montoya's time through the S's there. Just a half a tenth off up the backstretch so far.
Well, we've seen a lot of guys gain time or lose it right here.
Boy, he really let the car roll if he can stay in the gas right here.
Okay, he does get through there and gains a little bit of time. Right here's a critical point, too, though, getting off this corner and getting down to turn 6.
He gets hit tail right there. He had to crack the throttle just a little bit, but still carried a lot of speed. Still has a shot at it.
He's only off by 8/100ths of a second as he heads for the last 2 corners. Oh, lost a little bit there.
Yeah, he lost a good bit of time to Montoya in that left-hander.
Don't know if you can make 2/10 up this stretch.
That's going to show us for future drivers that Montoya really got through that turn 6 area really well.
And Marcus is going to slide into the number 3 position. 1 minute 11.6 seconds. He misses by.
Yeah, it's just a little loose, mate. Sorry.
And again, we hear that common word, loose.
Yep.
Well, you know, we talked about Mark Martin having those 3 wins in a row. Do you know in that stretch, there was a 10-year stretch where he had 10 straight top 5 finishes. Let's talk to him, Dave.
Well, Marty, he'd like to get that Watkins Glen mojo back, I am sure, especially, Mark, as you chase the chase and you have an opportunity to gain on the 12th place position here.
Well, we're working really hard this weekend. You know, that was a good lap for us. I feel like I got 100% of the car. Unfortunately, I didn't bring anything special to the table, and I'm a little disappointed in that. You know, the car has been a little bit off this weekend, and we've battled to get it where we are, and we're pretty proud of the gains we made. We know we've got some more to go. I could have messed that lap up. I didn't. I wish I would have brought 3/10 to the table, which I would expect to be able to do. I expect that of myself, and I don't feel like I did that. So a little disappointed in that, but all in all, you know, we're fighting hard for it.
We would expect that 3/10 maybe in the race as Mark goes to work on passing cars. Now, right next door, of course, is Clint Boyer's car. He qualified out a little bit earlier, was not happy with his lap, and, of course, Clint trying to protect that 12th position right now from Mark.
Well, Mark Martin slotted 7th right now. Boyer in the 13th spot out of 15 cars that have taken times. And as we take a look at the average finish at Watkins Glen, and then we look at the contenders, Mark Martin has the advantage here at the Glen over Clint.
Yeah, he does. Certainly has that advantage, but that's why we race these races, because every day's a new opportunity for somebody, and we'll see what, as they both try to battle through traffic and everything in this race tomorrow.
Speaking of opportunity, Scott Speed on a very good run right now. A 1/10 of a second as we go into the chicane.
Okay, nobody's done that. Nobody's come off turn 1 up through those S's that fast. So not quite as fast through the bus stop area, but he's still in the negative category there. It means he's faster.
A little bit of a roller coaster through turn 5.
Okay, let's see what he can do in this left-hander where Montoya was so good.
So far, so good. Oh, my.
Man, I'm telling you, that right there, that Montoya must have just absolutely killed that corner.
He carried a ton of speed through that corner, Montoya did.
He's about a 1/10 of a second off. Still very strong. Coming down the front straightaway. Scott Speed crosses the stripe. 3rd. 1 minute 11.49 seconds. He misses by just 1 point, well, about 1900ths to be exact. Yeah. How much is that?
That's just a little bit, I think, Marty.
Yeah, like about an inch.
I call it a couple tenths, but.
So Scott Speed right behind Montoya and Allmendinger right now with Ambrose fourth. Let's talk a little bit about the Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony. There are a bunch of guys going in. Jerry Rice, Emmett Smith, John Randall, Ricky Jackson, Floyd Little, Russ Grimm, and Dick LeBeau. And our own Chris Berman got the 2010 Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award. The Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony. It's on ESPN tonight at 7 Eastern. And I saw Boomer's comments on SportsCenter this morning. Congratulations to him. He was eloquent, as always. As we watch Denny Hamlin, let's check in with Dave Burns.
Right now, AJ is explaining to crew chief and tire guy the importance of his lap and where he might have lost just a little bit. AJ, second place run for you. Great lap. Where did you think, if anywhere, you lost a little bit?
I don't know if I lost anywhere or anything. You know, that was
everything, huh?
I felt like it was everything. When you get that close, you're always like, man, I could have had a little bit more. But when you're doing these one lap on a road course, you're more prone to mess it up than make it better. So I was proud of the race car, proud of all my guys on the 43 and just how hard they worked. So, you know, we're going to be back here for a couple more years. I'm excited about that. Got insignia and Best Buy on the car. It was a good qualifying session. Now we just have a good race tomorrow.
Congratulations on the new contract. Congratulations on a great lap for A.J. Allmendinger.
And as we see, Denny Hamlin has just taken the green flag. Need to let you know, we have checked. NASCAR is getting data from Denny's car. For some reason, we are not getting it, so we're not going to be able to show you lap tracker on this run. So I guess we'll just focus in on how he's handling the car as he heads down the back straightaway, heading for the bus stop.
Yeah, see how good we are at guessing and watching here.
Okay, so how's he look so far?
Looks pretty solid so far to me.
It's really good through there.
Yeah, that's a lot of power down.
Yeah, that was a good set of corners there. Even though we don't call them corners here. We call it the bus stop.
That's right.
Oh,
that looks good.
He didn't use that other asphalt over there, the new pavement. He just kind of held it tight right there.
Kind of tell me a lot of side bite there.
Denny, of course, coming off that 3rd place finish last week at Pocono where he led 19 laps. Here he comes for the final corner. And we're going to be in just as much suspense as you as he...
Okay, I say it's the pole.
I say it's 3rd.
Okay, we're going to find out who's got it and how about 5th?
Wow.
I think it's going to be 5th.
So, yeah. I guess sometimes smooth is... there's a reason for that because it's not hanging it out there quite as much.
Well, that means it's Montoya, Allmendinger, Speed, and Marcus Ambrose. Let's check in with him.
Another good solid lap for Marcus, but where was the lap lost in terms of the pole?
Well, I was a little sketchy. You know, I was a little conservative getting into the corner, and then the car's very aggressive to make it turn, and then I tried to get greedy coming off a couple of corners and got some wheel spin. But, you know, I'm excited about it. We've got to start in the first probably 3 or 4 rows, and I would have loved the pole, don't get me wrong, but, you know, we're proud of our efforts and feel like we're going to have a good car for Sunday.
You've passed cars here before, so you're not worried about getting through the pack, right?
No, I'll pass cars. It is a lot harder when you got to start passing cars to get your wins, you know, but it's part of the sport. No matter where you are in the field, you're going to be lapping guys, you're going to be passing guys through, you know, different pit strategies and so forth. So I don't mind. As long as we're in the front part of the field, I feel good about it. Get a good pit selection, and that helps a lot too.
Good qualifying run for tomorrow's 90-lapper. Mike?
And catching up now with Carl Edwards, and we saw your teammate Greg Biffle awfully sporty during practice yesterday, fastest on the board. How about your car? You're obviously coming from the same stables. Can you run as fast as the 16?
Yeah, our meeting after that was everyone staring at Greg Irwin, you know, saying, what's the springs, you know, what's the cross weight and the nose weight, and they helped us a lot. So hopefully the coverage, and Montoya was so fast, and especially through 6 there. You know, I don't know better watch not about to qualify third or something like that lap. So I'm not too worried about it. I just we've got a fast enough car. I'd just like to qualify well and see how well we could do from the front of the field.
A fast car and obviously a fast driver, Marty. Consider what he's done in the Nationwide Series at the road course races. Won at Elkhart Lake earlier this year. Won at Montreal a year ago.
And we'll find out if he can do it again. Make it a sort of like 3 in a row at all those courses. As we watch Kevin Harvick right now compared to our pole sitter, Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, if you walk her there going down into turn 1, he carried a lot of speed down there, but he paid the price for it on the exit.
Yeah, you can see he actually went Montoya getting in the gun off of the corner. He gave up quite a bit of time.
I think that's one thing that we see these open wheel guys really well. 3 of them in the top of it right now. That they get there, but they don't overdrive it into the corners, but they really carry a lot of speed center and off the corner then.
And again, we saw a drop off there with Kevin through turn 6. You heard Carl mention the same thing you guys observed, how good Montoya was through that corner. He comes down across the stripe, and he'll slot into the number 8 spot right now at a minute 11.9. When he won back here in 2006, he started 7th that year. As he cruises on out, let's talk to Scott Speed. How about it, Dave?
Marty, still showing 3rd on the board right now is Scott Speed. Scott, what was the key to putting that whole lap together for you?
I don't know. I mean, it's difficult when you come to a track like this. It's anyway so unique, and you only get 2 practice sessions, and then that's it all weekend. So we just continued, you know, making good decisions on, you know, what we want to change with the car. It was really good in race trim, and the only kind of feeling I have that's a bit weird is, you know, I have to pump the brakes up so much here because you run over the curves, the big stock cars, everything's flexing. And it's, I don't know, I'm just not used to it. So hopefully I can handle the brakes all race. And if that's the case, I think we'll have a good day.
So after like a curb corner, you have to pump them back up. You have to tell yourself, remind yourself, you got to pump them every time going to the next corner.
I'm pretty much going down every straightaway, pumping up the brakes, going, come on, be there, baby, be there. So when they're there, they work great. And we didn't overwear the brakes in practice, so there's not going to be any problem there. Just something I probably have to get used to.
Interesting feedback from a former F1 competitor, guys.
Yeah, and I was going to say that when you were used to those brakes over there where it stops literally on a dime.
Yeah, you get a lot of pad knockback when you hit these curbs, and you get a lot of deflection and all the suspension. That's what he's talking about. It kind of knocks the brake pads back away from the rotor, and you have to physically pump them back out there to make sure that you have brakes when you get to that corner where you're really going to count on them.
Well, you saw right there the stats on Greg Biffle, and we told you just a few moments ago he was quickest in both practice sessions. Has a lot of momentum rolling right now after the Brickyard 400 and, of course, the win last week at Pocono.
It wasn't until last year that Greg even had a top 5 finish. Didn't have a top 10, but he was able to get to that 5th spot last year. See the track going the right way here.
Yeah, man, he is, and he didn't really get through turn 1 as good as Montoya, but really through the S's he was able to make up time.
Here we go to the bus stop.
You know, we've seen Biffle be really good on flatter racetracks where you would just throw the car around and things, and obviously this fits right into that category. So it's been a little perplexing that he hasn't been better on the road course over the years. You can see he uses all of that new pavement.
And here we go to that crucial turn 6.
It'll be hard for him to beat Montoya through this turn. We've seen it. Almost every car lose time to Montoya, and he does it too.
Not as much, though. Here he comes through 7. He's 0.2 of a second off the pole.
So the right way, not fast enough, though.
So the man who started in the top 12 in 5 of his last 6 races crosses the stripe, and right now he moves into the number 3 spot. 1 minute 11.46 seconds as we've got qualifying continuing here at the Glen. Just as we come back at Watkins Glen, you're looking at Travis Quavel, the 2003 Camping World Truck Series champion, and he crosses the stripe. And the reason he is 20th out of 20 cars, we'll show you. A minute 14.12, and this is where it all went south for him.
Well, it's coming out of turn 5 right here. He's got the power down for sure.
Carries some pretty good speed. Rear tires just won't hold it.
And that's why he's now 20th out of 20 that have taken times here in qualifying. Let's talk to the man who is going to start on the outside of the front row in the Nationwide Series race with a great qualifying run there, and still to come here. Mike, you've got Joey?
I sure do have Joey. A great qualifying run on the Nationwide side. What are you expecting here?
We'll see. Home Depot Toyota is pretty good. I think qualifying shipment was all right. So hopefully I hit my marks right and I do everything I need to do, and I think we'll be decent. So we'll see. We had a really good run with the Nationwide car. So hopefully I can do the same thing and have something close to the front here, and something we can work with tomorrow.
How would you assess your road course racing skills?
So right now. I feel like the more races I get under my belt, the more I realize what you got to do at these places. It definitely helps, whether you got to be smooth or whatever you got to do out there. It's finding that and making it all work and trying to find speed out there at the same time. So, and that's only half the battle. You got to figure out how to race these places and stuff like that. So, we're getting there. I feel like every time I come to a place where we're getting a little bit closer, road course wise, stuff like that. So, the confidence is definitely up after the last qualifying run there in the Nationwide car, so hopefully I can keep it up after this one.
You can hear the confidence in his voice, Marty.
Yeah, it is there. It's good for him because this is not an easy discipline to learn. And just ask Jeff Burton. I mean, he's been in 33 Sprint Cup road course races. His best finish is here, second place back in 2001.
Yeah, he had a run there 3 years in 2000 and 01 and 02 of good finishes, but been a struggle the rest of the time for him.
He has started 4th here at the Glen 3 different occasions, and as we mentioned, in 01 is when he finished 2nd. The year prior to that, in 2000, he came home in 3rd, but the last couple of years, for example, 38th, 17th, 40th.
Well, this team's been on the move lately, though. They're going to win a race before long. They've had a car that's capable of winning in half a dozen races or more this year. So they've got it all going right.
Not going to be happy with this car here, though. I think he's extremely loose with this race car. So just coming to get the green coming out of the last corner, turn 7. Let's see how he negotiates it this time, but he was right up against the safer barrier coming out.
Well, don't count him out. He finished 8th at Pocono. That was his 4th straight top 8 finish, and he's, oh, so close to the safer barrier as he's hanging it out, trying to get every ounce of it. Comes across the stripe, 10th out of 21 cars at a minute 12.11 seconds.
Right behind Kevin Harvick, his teammate.
Make all the good stands starting to fill up here at the Glen because we've got the Nationwide race. We were talking about how beautiful a day it is. 4 of the last 6 Sprint Cup qualifying district. Let's check in with Dave Burns.
And Marty, as we break down with Greg Biffle his one lap on the course here, I want to start with the exit of the carousel. Just how much new pavement is there out there?
There's a lot. Thank goodness there's a lot. I got a little bit loose putting the power down, and that's probably the difference between being on the front row right now and being 3rd. I ran a little bit conservative lap, getting up to speed. I noticed that the car was a little bit freer than what it was yesterday, and I knew I beat him if I could back off just a loud lap. It's important to start up front here in the top 5 than make a mistake and be in the ditch. And so the win means more to me than the pole did, so I put in a good safe lap and be in the top 5.
Great his and his team right now as we're getting ready for Brad Keselowski, who will be making his first ever Glen start here in Sprint Cup.
Yeah, we heard, just to go back to Biffle, that was really good experience talking right there, realizing the situation and what he needed to do and what's going to be best for himself and his race team here.
This time yesterday, we watched that 12 car in that very spot blow a motor, and he had also had 2 spins. It was not the kind of day, the way they wanted it to start. But right now, Brad Keselowski practiced 33rd yesterday, still trying to learn the nuances of this car.
Well, he qualified 8th earlier today in the Nationwide car.
That's true.
So he got some laps early today, so where some of these other drivers are making their first laps of the day in this run.
Well,
a little out of shape getting it. That's not good.
Hang on.
Not good.
That was a braking and shifting issue right there. Kind of looked like when he downshifted, still had too many RPMs, didn't get them matched up real well, and that started his wheel hop.
come through turn 5 and now heading for 6. But as you can see, lap tracker, it's basically buried at the bottom of the screen. One more corner here, turn number 7.
I wonder if it might be a disadvantage to having been in the Nationwide car because they're probably going to drive a little differently.
He'll slot himself 17th out of the 22 that have taken times 1:12.65 seconds. Let's talk to his teammate, Mike.
And on Friday, Marty, during practice, there were a handful of drivers who were, let's say, in a class of their own. Kurt Busch was one of them, 4th fastest in final practice. Juan Pablo Montoya was another. He's posted a very strong time. Can you beat it?
He did post a good time, and looking at where he did it, most of his speed was in turn 6, the old turn 10, the left-hander. And that's where I feel really comfortable with our Miller Lite Dodge. So hopefully we'll just hit our marks where we need to and be right there with them. And we've been neck and neck before for a pole here Nationwide a couple years back. I squeaked it out on him. He had a good run today, so we'll see what it shakes out to be.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Kurt Busch been pretty strong lately here at Watkins Glen. Top 10 finishes the last 2 visits.
Well, and you know, he's led 123 laps on road courses, and that is the most laps led by a driver without a road course win. So maybe this weekend might be different.
Well, Jimmy Johnson got his first road course win this year. Maybe Kurt will get his.
All right, we were looking at the track temperatures because remember we had a track record in Nationwide qualifying, and maybe this is the reason we're not seeing the times like we thought we might.
Yes, actually heated up a good bit more than I think we anticipated. You can see that the ambient temperature hasn't gone up that much, but that sun shining down on this asphalt.
Get that angle of the sun, get it up high in the sky, and it really does soak the track with heat.
Oh, I love that shot down low.
Yeah, that's a good one.
As long as it doesn't run over us. Here comes Carl Edwards taking the green flag. Finished 3rd here last year. His best start was 3rd back in 2008.
He's on a string of 4 top 10s in a row here at this racetrack. Finishes. A good racetrack for him. Had a nice run last week. Nice to see that the Roush Fenway group is starting to come back and make some noise.
Look at this right here, guys.
Yeah.
He's in the green solidly right now.
Well, he really carried the speed up through there.
Okay, see how he negotiates the bus stop, and then he said that he saw Montoya was making all his time in turn 6. So.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him get to turn 6 and see how he handles it.
Still going well.
Good bite there.
Oh, man, that was a great set of corners.
Still carrying it.
All right, they need to radio and tell him he doesn't have to do anything special down
here.
You
got some in the bank here getting into turn 6. He might need it.
Gonna find out. Here he goes.
Oh, good corner. Man, wow, that's every bit of it.
Oh, yeah. Great corner there.
Yeah, he lost maybe 7 or 8 hundredths.
Well, the man who won the last 2 Nationwide Series races comes so close to the safer barrier. And look at this. He's going to put up a big number. How about a minute 10.8 seconds? Man, he has missed it by 1.
Remember you turn in, turn on your fan.
He missed the track record by 1/10 of a second.
When are we going to realize that this is a great road racer right here? I mean, he's won these Nationwide road races, and man, what a lap that was.
That record was set by Jeff Gordon back in 2003 at 124.5.
Awesome job, bud. Awesome job. It looked real good on the monitor. Woohoo! Man, that's good stuff, guys. I don't care if that holds up or not. That's a hell of a way to qualify right there. That's good stuff. Good job.
It certainly was, and it was fun to watch. And look at the fans.
Yeah, you get a car like that and you can go around here. There's nothing better when you can know that you've made all the corners and you did all the things right. It's just one of the most exciting laps that you'll do all year.
So a new provisional pole sitter with 23 cars having taken laps. And now we'll find out what 4-time champion Jimmy Johnson can do.
And now that everybody has to go back and say, well, Carl killed it up through the S's. That's where we got to make some time. We were talking about Montoya through 6, and Carl still went through there very well, but he really beat him getting off of turn 1 and up through the S's.
Jimmy was the best of the 4 Hendrick cars yesterday in the final practice. He was 13th. Comes out of turn number 7, green flag in the air, and we'll find out what he's got in the number 48.
Oh, we know what the track has in it. Carl Edwards showed us that.
Good job of getting down into turn one.
This is where Carl really stepped up the program.
Jimmy's in the gas too, but right there, it looked like he might have had to breathe it.
That section of the track, Carl Edwards was extremely fast.
Heading down for the bus stop. Not going to be a pole run.
It's going to be a good lap so far. He's got some meat on the bone, though. He's got to finish a few more tough corners.
Of course, he won back at Infineon when Marcus Ambrose had that problem getting the car refired. He has problems there through turn 6 a little bit, picks it up on the exit.
It's going to be a good lap right here.
Yeah, should get in the top 5 for right now.
Down the front straightaway as he crosses the stripe. Does he make the top 5? How about 6th? 1 minute 11.51 seconds, right behind Scott Speed, right ahead of Marcus Ambrose. And there's a happy Carl Edwards. Wrapping up his qualifying effort, the 39, the U.S. Army of Ryan Newman. His best finish here was back in 02, where he came across the line second. Right now, you see he's currently in the 11th spot out of 25 cars that have taken elapsed times. Let's talk to our provisional pole sitter. A bit of a surprise. How about it, Dave?
Well, and as we were watching that lap, hey, that was a good corner. Another good corner. You were in the green. I mean, when you've stacked up a bunch of good corners.
My last I would have been a lot more conservative if I would have known how fast that lap was. I'm just glad you're interviewing me right now, because right now I am on the I go out there and run that. Surely somebody else can. Man, just proud of my guys. And that car, that athlete weren't that fast in qualifying practice. And we went and talked to Greg Irwin and Greg Biffle, and they were kind enough to lend us all the hard work that they'd done, and it worked really well. So, man, it's just, it feels good. I feel like I won the race just having that fast of a lap here. It'll be different to start up front, and I think that'll be something really good for us on Sunday.
Okay, well, don't leave, because you got to race this afternoon, then you have to race Sunday too. Well, we'll hope that goes well as well.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, Carl Edwards, your provisional pole sitter right now, guys.
Hey, Dave, tell him this. All 4 of Roush Fenway Racing's Cup road course wins have come from the pole.
And Dave, you can tell him one other thing. I stood right in his spot one time in 2001 thinking if I could run the lap that I did, somebody surely could beat me. And for some reason they didn't. So there is a lot of hope out there, I promise, for him. But that's a heck of a lap he laid down.
Green flag for Joey Logano as the youngster who's going to start second a little bit later this afternoon in the nationwide race. Really surprised us there. I mean, you know, he is not known for a great road course driving skill, but he's proven that he can do it.
Andy's considering him an ace now because of his second place qualifying in the nationwide side. So
you got to consider him one of the best. He beat a lot of the best.
He sure did.
Qualifying in nationwide. We'll see what he can do here. He's half a second off of Carl so far, though.
Yeah, he is very talented, no doubt about that. See how he gets through the bus stop right here. That bus stop's changed a lot. The entry there used to have a huge curb on the right side. It was about 8 inches, and they've narrowed that down so you can carry some more speed in there, but there's still only so much speed. You can see maybe a little bit loose as he exits turn 5, but they're able to carry more speed through that bus stop into the middle of it.
Well, and what we were talking about during the break, we saw it with Joey's car going through the bus stop. The car started to porpoise a little bit, and that's where you scrub off the speed, whereas on Carl's run, it was just like on a rail. It just was glued. Here he comes through the final corner. Not going to be a pole run, but it's going to be a pretty decent run for Joey Logano. He'll start in the 11th position right now out of the 26 that have taken official times. Let's talk about what's going to be coming up later today. It's a great day of racing on ESPN. We've got the NASCAR Nationwide Series. It's coming up next. And then NASCAR Now will be tomorrow at 9 a.m., presented by 5 Hour Energy. That, and again at tomorrow night at 11 Eastern, both of those on ESPN2. Now, Sprint Cup coverage from Watkins Glen. It's presented by GoDaddy.com. We're going to be on the air at 1 Eastern, but our coverage starts at noon with NASCAR Countdown. Kurt Busch rolls out onto the track, and as he's heating up the tires, hopefully. DJ's shaking his head there a little bit. Let's check in with brother Kyle.
And Marty, Kyle had a very fast race car in that final practice. You looked real good. What do you expect here in qualifying?
Well, I'm hoping we have a pretty good car. You know, I think that yesterday with the qualifying runs we made 3 of them, and the last one was the best one. So hopefully we can back that up. If we back that time up, we'd be happy with that. Hopefully the track's got it in it. But got to thank Miss Green. She got the most votes this summer for the Miss Green paint scheme here, and she was voted America's favorite color. So glad she's on board with us this week. Hopefully we can have a good solid run right now and get after it tomorrow.
Well, that's something you don't always hear, Marty. Green's not often considered a good luck color in this sport, but I guess it is today for Kyle.
And, of course, we're, I think, talking about the old M&M contest.
Well, they're just talking about the green one. That's just one M, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you have to have 2 M's to be M&M. And
they got 2 green ones on the hood.
All right, let's get back to Kyle Busch, or Kurt, I should say. And one of the things that we saw there, he was definitely warming up the tires, and we haven't seen that from anybody else. We're going to find out if that pays dividends.
Let's see how that works out for him. This is the spot that Carl Edwards was really good, and it's like a little better than Kirk up through there right now.
Now, I'm going to ask you as a driver, with the track temperature up higher, would you have done the same thing?
I'm, you know, depending on practice and what it showed me, but I would think that right now you would be wanting all the grip that a new tire would give you. So it would have probably been, I would have been thinking more that I wanted to take care of those tires till I got back to the green flag.
So far, the strategy is not working, as you can see by lap tracker, coming out of 5, heading for 6.
And when we see that they're all 5 or 6 tenths, you have to understand how much farther ahead. Carl Edwards is a little over 4 tenths of a second faster than the second place car.
And don't forget, Kurt practiced 4th best in that final practice yesterday. Comes awfully close to the safer barrier down the front stretch, and we'll find out where he slots in. How about in the 4th position at 1:11.40 seconds? That's 4 tenths off of pole sitter Carl Edwards. While he's bringing it on in, let's check in with our 4-time champion, Jimmy Johnson.
Well, and Marty, we've been talking about the story all day. Yesterday in the Hendrick camp, concerned looks and not fast times. You go out there and put together a significantly better lap than yesterday. So what's that telling you about the changes you made?
We're going in the right direction. We kind of found a road to go down at the end of practice yesterday, and we stuck with that today. I think we need to make some small changes for our race stuff. Yesterday, I was 13th on the board and knew that I could find 3 or 4 tenths by some things on my side. And then today went well. I still feel like I could have done a couple things a little bit better, but all in all, a lot of progress. And to show up as far off as we did with the tire test that Jeff was a part of, I mean, it's just kind of mind-boggling that we could have been that far off. But we were, and we kept our heads down and worked very hard on our race cars and making up ground. I hope we can make up enough tonight before the race starts tomorrow with some ideas and thoughts that we can be where we need to tomorrow.
How hard is that, because you don't have laps on the track now? It's all up to Chad and the guys to sort of retool the car.
You know, in all fairness, we had a lot of practice yesterday, and thankfully we did, and we worked through a lot of changes. It may have worked in our favor if we had a night to think on it and come back for more race practice today, kind of like our normal schedule. But outside of that, we had a lot of laps yesterday, and we used a lot of those minutes and all that time on the track to make our car better. Unfortunately, I spun out early and did a little bit of damage that cost us some time, but I'm really proud of the effort we put in yesterday to get this Lowe's Impala back in competitive form, and hopefully we're better tomorrow.
All right, good luck on your perhaps second road course win of the 2010 season, guys.
And as you finish up, Boris said takes the green flag, and wow, carrying a lot of speed. Losing a little bit of it there as he climbs up through the S's.
Yeah, those 2 turns right there, Carl Edwards just really hit perfectly.
Now his teammate Scott Speed slotted in the number 6 spot at 1:11.4.
Yeah, one thing Jimmy was talking about, all the laps that they got yesterday, and I attribute a lot of that to the new runoff spots that they have, the improvements that they've made here, where drivers weren't getting off into the sand traps and creating problems that caused them to lose time. So they did have a lot of opportunity to put some laps down.
Interesting statistic on Boris. As you can see, lap tracker not going to be a pole run. He's driven now for 9 different teams in 9 starts here at the Glen. Whoa, got a little happy. Using every bit of the exit there on the final corner. Checkered flag for Boris, and he'll slot into the number 9 spot right now out of the 28 cars that have officially taken times. So while he brings it on out, we'll step aside for a brief break, and we'll be back. Casey Kane, Jamie McMurray, and Kyle Busch still to come. And as we come back to Watkins Glen, you see Casey Kane finishing up his qualifying effort, and he's not going to be real happy. Out of 29 cars, he's slotted in the 27th position right now, a minute 13.13. And you were noticing right through turn number 1, Andy, it was awfully evil looking.
Yeah, he got into turn 1, and the car just really started hunting like he was chasing the back end and not able to get into that corner. That kind of starts things off bad, and at least from a confidence level in the car, wondering what it's going to do the rest of the course, and it looks like it wasn't really where Casey needed it.
Yeah, it hasn't been one of his best tracks anyway. No top 10 finishes so far.
I don't get that. You know, he's won a road race before out at Infineon, and I don't know why that doesn't cross over here. I know these tracks are different, but still you got to think the same skill sets apply.
Speaking of Infineon, Jamie McMurray sat on pole in Infineon back in 2007. Finished 15th back in the June race there, and of course, what everybody's talking about Jamie this year is winning the Daytona 500. And then, of course, for his team owner, Chip Ganassi, a win at the Indianapolis 500. And then the complete trifecta for Ganassi, as he has Jamie McMurray becoming the third man to win both Daytona and the Brickyard in the same year. And a great burnout at the Brickyard for Jamie McMurray. His best finish here at the Glen was third back in 2006, and his best start was 11th.
See what he does. Looked like he was taking a little different approach. He didn't come into turn 6 real hard. Looked like he might have been saving his tires all the way around on the warm-up lap coming to get the green. Kind of locks up the brakes there. Got in there pretty hard, but right here is where he might pay the price, especially with Carl Edwards. See how he gets off of turn 2.
See what he does pretty good through there.
Yeah, if he just backs up what he did yesterday in practice, it'll put him in about the 5th spot.
Well, he's tracking in the top 5 so far.
He was 8th in the final practice yesterday, and he's awfully close, just a 1/10 of a second off. Didn't carry quite as much through there as Carl did at the bus stop, now through 5.
Yeah, he looked like he tried to carry some speed in there, and he got just a little bit on the wider side.
It's off
nice
that corner.
run there.
Nice. Yeah, real nice through there. Now he's tracking 3rd if he can make this left-hander. He's 2nd so far, man. He gets off that corner, that carousel corner, great, and down that straightaway.
Into the final turn. Just about 3/10 of a second off the pole run, but this could be good enough to put him on the outside of the front row.
Pretty good.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. 1 minute 11.23 seconds.
How about Jamie McMurray this year? Showing it on the restrictor plate, biggest race at Daytona, winning at the Brickyard, a flat racetrack, and now showing his road course skills here.
And right now, faster than his teammate, Juan Pablo Montoya. They are 2nd and 3rd. Let's check in with the said head. Bars himself is down on pit road. David?
You know, Marty, 9 times in his road car starts, he started in the top 10. You're clinging to that right now, 10th. How good is your race car?
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's the first time I drove the Red Bull Toyota yesterday, and I needed a little bit of adjustment, but it's a great team. Cars are really prepared well. I'm hoping that it gives me wings in the race. We've been getting better and better every time I get in the car. It's not the qualifying lap I was looking for. I was a little too over-aggressive in the bus stop, and that last left-hander, I kind of overdrove it, and feel like I let the team down a little bit. But, you know, hopefully that'll keep us in the top 15, and, you know, then we're in the hunt.
Are there more adjustments to be made to make you more comfortable in the car for tomorrow?
I mean, it just takes seat time. You know, I haven't been in one of these since June at Infineon, and, you know, these guys are in them week in and week out, and, I mean, they're quite the handful to drive around here. They're not easy cars to drive. I mean, they're a lot of horsepower in this Toyota motor, and, you know, they're quite heavy, you know, compared to the sports cars I'm used to driving, so it just takes a little time to adapt to it and, you know, get your courage up.
All right, good luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
Marty?
One thing about Bars, never have to worry about a helmet head.
Yeah, or courage either. I mean, he was driving that car hard. Just didn't stick for him.
He is a fan favorite. I love it when the set head come out with all their wigs. And there he is, taking a picture. And while he's doing that, let's talk a little bit about baseball, because Sunday and Monday night, we've got a lot of action for you. It is Red Sox, Yankees. Josh Beckett's back. The Yankees have Alex Rodriguez with now 600 home runs. Sunday night baseball at 8 Eastern. Then on ESPN's Monday night baseball at 7 Eastern, we've got St. Louis taking on the Cincinnati Reds, and both games are available on ESPN3.com.
The Yankees got to tend to some business after last night's loss. They got to get back on a winning streak here against the Red Sox.
You're a Yankee fan. Alan Bestwick's a Red Sox fan, and it's fun watching these two go after each other. Speaking of going after it, how about Kyle Busch?
Yeah, speaking of fun to watch, my goodness, he's such a talent and just hustles the car.
Like he short shifted a little bit off of that corner, Dale.
Yeah, you can do that, yeah, and maybe it was because he wasn't getting the traction and he wanted to be able to get a drive up through here. Probably something that he found in practice yesterday that it picked up a little bit of speed for him.
He's had 2 poles this year. First race we had at Pocono and again at Richmond, but this is not going to be a pole run. Right now, you see on the upper left of the box, he looks like he's going to slot into about the 9th position and does at 1:11.5 seconds behind Jimmy Johnson and just ahead of Marcus Ambrose. So far, Carl Edwards' lap is still holding up. He's literally just a 1/10 of a second off of the track record set back in 2003 at 1:10.8 seconds. Let's talk to Jamie McMurray. How about it, Dave?
And how about that run, Jamie? That was a pretty good lap for you.
Yeah, I really felt like I got through turn 1 and the S's really good, and I thought I got through the bus stop good. I just didn't feel good through the carousel, and then my brakes faded just a little bit coming back towards the pits here, and I think they call it 6 and 7. So good run for our McDonald's Chevrolet. It's been a great year, and it's so much fun, you know, when things go well, and we were 8th in practice. I think that'll be a top 5 today. So Bono and all the guys did a really good job, and you know, I really love road racing, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure on me when I come here because I always talk about going go-karting. And most of the karters give me a hard time if I don't do well. So it makes me feel good for the go-karters in America that I qualified well.
All right, all you karters out there, you just put down a great qualifying lap, all right?
Thanks, Dave. Sam Hornish is on the track. Obviously, last year, not a great memory for him. In fact, he just passed the spot where this happened, and this got really ugly, and this is one of the reasons the changes were made.
Yeah, nothing of his doing. You can see Casey Kane get a little bit loose there. Sam hits that tire barrier, and then just a vicious wreck after that.
It's like a tunnel down there. Jeff Gordon gets into it. Jeff Burton gets into it, and a lot of sore bodies after this one. Jeff, his back was already in agony, and there was Sam leaning up against the barrier, and look at Jeff Burton.
Yeah, that's 3 or 4 of the hardest hits I can ever remember seeing in one accident.
So Sam now on his hot lap, and he heads up through the S's. His best finish here out of 2 prior starts, 32nd back in 2008. And even over in the IndyCars, he was not known for his road course prowess. It was what he did on the ovals that helped him win those 3 IndyCar championships. And you can see lap tracker heading in the wrong direction.
A little bit, but he was pretty solid. A little wide there. He was solid in practice yesterday with the lap. It put him 14th, but still on pace to do pretty well here so far if he can make these last 2 corners work.
Coming through 6. Shows him in 12th to 13th right now. 1 more corner to go for Sam. Now up to 11th. A little bit of improvement through there. Good corner. Down the front straightaway. Checkered flag in hand, and he will cross the stripe and does slot himself into the 11th position right now at 1:11.6 seconds. 32 cars have now taken official times.
Yeah, he picked up just over a half a tenth, and I think anytime you do that from your practice, pretty good lap.
Tony Stewart getting ready to roll out. Of course, the man who won this race last year. In fact, he pretty much is trying to lay claim to his portion of the real estate up in South Central New York. Take a look at those numbers.
Man, that's just incredible.
That is very, very impressive.
And the best part about it is his worst starting position was last year in 13th.
He's one of those guys when I look at it like he and Marcus Ambrose, and not that a job done passing, but they can literally just have the knack and the speed to make passes on this. They're not the
first Watkins Glen winner, 18th back in 2000 by Steve Park. Looks like Tony on the warm-up lap doing what you were talking about, trying to keep as little heat as possible out of those tires because the track temperature up.
Yeah, Tony was overrunning a dirt track last night. Got in a little accident there. No worse for the wear, though. He's okay, but the car didn't turn out too good for him.
And Thursday, he was down at Williams Grove along with Casey Kane and Kyle Busch for Casey's foundation run. The three of them were racing down there in sprint 360 sprint cars, and had a great crowd at Williams Grove. For all that great performances, he's actually only started on pole once here at the Glen back in 05. He has a third back in 02 and about 3 times that he started fourth.
You see his hands right there up through this as he was having to hustle the car, be a little bit on the loose side.
I'm sure Carl Edwards is watching this lap pretty close, because this probably is the biggest bullet he's going to have to dodge in this whole lineup. I'm just looking down through here. I don't see anybody that's going to probably challenge Carl Edwards' time.
Yeah, and Tony's not going to either. That car is pretty loose. He's doing a great job with it, but I think he's got his hands full.
Right now, you see in the upper left portion of the screen there, he's slotting in the 11th position, about 0.6 of a second off a pole run. Remember, he practiced yesterday 6th quickest after they did the mock run. Out of the final corner, not going to be a pole run, but he's picking it up. Notice it's going up to about 6th, and is that where he's going to slot? Yes. A minute 11.4, so he picked up about 5 spots in the last 2 corners. Nice recovery for Tony Stewart, and we've got more to come from the Glen. Back here at Watkins Glen, Kevin Conway on the track, completing his qualifying effort. And one more car to go before we go to the Go or Go Homers. Kevin, 34th out of 34 cars to take times, a minute 14.5. So the 34th car is the 34th car to qualify and the 34th position right now. If you're into numerology.
Does that mean he's going to finish 34th?
I have no idea.
That's when you wish you had a lower number on the car.
Yeah, like number 1. He finished 28th at Infineon in June, so I guess maybe numerology stops there. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Was 42nd quickest, struggling mightily yesterday during final practice. He is the last before we hit the Go or Go Homers.
Looks like a lot of the Hendrick cars, though, did learn a lot overnight and pick their cars up. Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy's
pretty happy.
Jimmy slotted 9th right now. Jeff Gordon is in the 16th position. Mark Martin, 22nd.
As we talked about other drivers maybe saving their tires part of the way around, I think these guys that made a lot of changes in things, they're probably on the gas from the very beginning to kind of see what they may have.
His winless streak here in Sprint Cup is now 78 races. In the Nationwide Series, he actually did win here back in 1999 at the Glen.
Junior's a very adequate road racer. It's just a matter of getting the car to where you can be aggressive with it. And they fought a very loose condition with their car yesterday. I happened to notice yesterday afternoon after everything was over, Lance McGrew and a couple of his people coming out of Dale Jr.'s motorhome. So they were having a session of trying to talk through this and see what they could do to make some improvements and get this car much better.
Good through turn 1. Losing a little bit up through the S's.
Actually lost a lot through the S's.
Yeah, and it's that entrance as you come out of setting yourself up for turn 2 there is where you have to be able to stay in the gas, and if your car is really good, you can stay in the throttle the entire time there, and that's kind of a barometer of what you're going to have with your race car.
Well, we've only got a handful of races before we hit the chase, and he's finished 27th in the last 2 races, and Dale now finds himself 14th in the points. He's 129 behind 12th. He could really use a good run here tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not going to start off good. This is not a good lap at all.
As you can see, left-hand side by his car number, it's slotting him in the 33rd position right now, heading through the final corner. He is 2.5 seconds off pole. So a disappointing run for Dale Earnhardt Jr., 33rd at a minute 13.3. Go or Go Homers when we come back. Three finished best here at the Glen in Sprint Cup Series action.
You know what his best start is?
Want to make it a guess that it's probably 8th?
Good guess.
Well, he's right now at 1:13.17 seconds. We'll see how that shakes out as we've got a lot more to go as these guys. Let's check in with Dave.
With Tony Stewart now, who has qualified in pretty well there, but the lap was interesting for us to watch because it looked like the second half was a whole lot better than the front.
Yes, having a lot of time to sit and wait, but it's still going to be a lot better starting spot than where we were last year. So that next spot.
Now, teammate Rowe here had a tough interstate. Your car was the setup that they themselves better. Were you confident with what you had with your race car?
Yeah, I was happy with mine at the end of practice yesterday. So you know, that's the great thing about the relationship we have with Hendrick Motorsports is that you know, we share the information back and forth, and we feel like it makes all 6 of our cars better. So you know, it's nice to have a day where we're contributing like that. And you know, there's going to be a day down the road, and there's been days in the past where we've had to kind of rely on those guys too. So you know, that's what the teamwork's all about.
Good relationship. Good lap today for Tony. Mike?
And Dave, Max Pappas is looking for a good lap himself. He's certainly feeling the pressure of trying to get this car in on speed. Yesterday, early in practice, in fact, on the warm-up lap, you lost the transmission. Did you get enough time on the track to assess how strong this car might be?
First of all, let me say hi to my kids at home. My wife, Tatish, is here, so I love you, kids. Marco, Matteo, love you. You know, the Geico car, you know, the guys did a great job, you know. I mean, they're ready to be in a 24-hour of Le Mans. They changed the transmission so quickly that it was amazing. And we went out there. We had a couple of qualifying runs, you know, not really enough to really see exactly everything you have, you know, but, you know, enough for us to know that we need to do our best, and we see how we're going to stand. So I feel that we've done everything within our cards, you know, with the cards that we have within our power. So I'm quite excited about it.
All right, Marty's going to try to make up for it with his own ability. He's a pretty skilled road course racer.
He got that name Mad Max back years ago when he was running qualifying laps in the last 2 hours of the Rolex 24. Right now, and he'll be the last to go out. Right now, David Gilliland, you saw him bouncing around a little bit. He is our second go-or-go-homer out on track.
Well, he was doing it in a dangerous part of the track, too, in those S's. If you get out of shape over there, you can hit something hard and quick.
Yeah, there's not much room for error up through there. You have guardrail on both sides. Not much room to correct. You see, he's really struggling with this car.
Down through turn 11. 3 cars are going to be going home. 46 showed up for the 43 car field, and as he crosses the stripe, he is the second fastest of the go homers at 1:13.37 seconds. Well, while we've got a moment, let's talk a little bit about football, because the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony is tonight on ESPN. 7 guys are going to be going in, headlining Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith, and our own Chris Berman won the 2010 Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award. The Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony on ESPN tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern Time.
Always have the debate every year. Is this the greatest class going in that? And Sullivan was reading some about that, and certainly the numbers don't lie with the people that are going in there. But again, something fun to watch.
Jerry Rice has got the numbers certainly of all time for a receiver, but in this passing-oriented offense, maybe Emmitt Smith's numbers of 18,000 plus holds up for our lifetime at least, and maybe for a long, long time to come. Tony Ave, as you saw his numbers there as he's out on course from Hurley, Wisconsin. He's a current point leader in the SCCA Pro Racing Trans Am Series. A lot of road racing experience, a little puff of smoke out the back.
Yeah, you did see that smoke. It might have just maybe a little too much oil in it, making this run and maybe spewing just a little bit out. Doesn't look like it's anything serious.
He ran in the top 10 for most of that Road America Nationwide race. If you remember, though, he had a spin on the last lap. Boy, he has got a lot of rub there.
Yeah, that's a lot of smoke there, though.
And it's continuing on down through the front straightaway, so
pretty heavily.
I don't think that's tire rub. That could be something else.
Could have actually maybe even over one of those curbs put a hole in the oil pan.
Something like that. Transmission's another area.
Yeah, and transmission gets stressed quite a bit here. It could have cracked the case. Kind of coming from the middle of the car.
Well, now the big question is if any of that gets on the tires, he could find himself in a bit of a mess.
Well, that and the people coming behind him, that's who's probably more concerned about it.
He heads down through the bus stop.
I'm sure the NASCAR will take a look at this maybe after he makes his effort, just to make sure that he is not putting anything down, that this was just creating.
That's a lot of smoke
right there, though.
He has started twice before here at the Glen. Right now, he has taken care of every mosquito through this entire 2.45-mile layout. They're not going to be around for miles. He's survived all the corners so far. 1 to go. Tony brings it down the front straightaway. Remember, the best time was Joe Nemechek at minute 13.1, and Tony, the third of the three, had a minute 14 and change. And I think you're right. I think everybody's going to be wanting to take a look at that and see what that issue really is. And we're getting word that NASCAR may take time to check the track. So that's going to give us a chance. We'll step aside for just a brief moment. Carl Edwards is still on the pole, and we still got more go-homers to go. Back here at Watkins Glen International, as the safety crews have made their final inspection after we saw all the smoke, and everything seems to be okay. So next car will be fired. Tony Ave's oil, whatever that was, did not get all over the track, and that'll mean Dave Blaney will come out. Now, of the 11 go-homers, Blaney was third from the bottom, which, when you do the math, that's not a really good place to be.
But that was practice.
That was practice. We're about to find out what Mr. Blaney can do.
Yeah, hopefully in his driver compartment he had a little reserve left, and go grab him a couple of tenths here.
His start was 16th back in 2003. His best finish was 8th. You know, during the break, DJ, we were talking about the fact that we thought maybe we'd see a close to 8/100ths of a second.
Yeah, we were pretty certain that somebody was going to down below that track record, but I think the track temperature and I could attribute some of it to these guys not having a chance to be on the racetrack this morning.
Tony Stewart said in his interview, he said, man, it took me a couple of corners to get my rhythm going.
So I think that may have had it. At least Carl came close. He didn't make us look like we totally didn't know what we were talking about, which I'm sure there's people out there that think that anyway.
Well, Dave Blaney's talking up. That dates back all the way to 1992 when he began back at Rockingham. This is in comparison to Joe Beck, is the best of the three go-homers so far.
A little bit of there up through the S's.
We compare these two because one of these two is going to get locked in after this lap's completed.
3 times in the books right now. It's Nemechek, Gilliland, and then Tony Ave.
You hear him in and out of the throttle a lot as he tried to go around turn 5 and exit. Wow. I was going to say used up a lot of asphalt, but a little bit of dirt and grass there too.
Down through turn number 6, now heading for the final corner. And the big question will be, where does he slot in to relationship with Nemechek, Gilliland, and Tony Ave? Checkered flag is out, and Dave comes across the line, and, well, he is ahead of Tony Ave. So he is now third quickest of the 4 go-homers.
Yeah, that could kind of leave him right in that same spot, very close the way he was in practice as to whether he's going to race tomorrow or not.
Well, and Tony Ave was the 11th of the 11 go-homers as far as speed. So you're right, they're basically slotted right where they practiced yesterday. So very vulnerable with still a number of cars to go. 39 of the 46 have officially taken times. And out on track now will be J.J. Yeley. He started twice here before, back in 06 and 07. His best finish here at the Glen was 18th back in 2007. Back at Pocono, he finished 38th in the, it was his 9th race in this number 46 car. Through the bus stop.
If he can match his practice time, he'll be the fastest of these cars after making on speed. A 72.5 second lap yesterday in practice. Right now, Joe Nemechek is the fastest of all the cars, and he's ran a 73.17.
And he is locked in.
David Gilliland is the car that JJ will have to beat right here if he wants to lock himself in.
Yeah, so the time he's looking to beat is 1:13.37 seconds, and now we'll get an idea. And you'll see there that his lap tracker will be up against David Gilliland's time. Looking real good so far.
Yeah, he's really doing a nice job to this point. Yeah, gaining more time up through the S's as he starts to exit onto the back straightaway. Has a nice cushion built up.
In fact, it's increasing, and well, now going a little bit south as he heads into the bus stop.
I think he made the approach there. Yeah, he lost a lot of time. Thinking he just maybe got out early to get back to the throttle some, but he had about a half a second cushion going in.
Well, he dropped below, then came back up above, and as he heads to 6, he's now back in the red. If he wants to lock himself in, he's got to have a good turn 6 and well, now even a better turn 7.
Yeah, got really loose off a 6 there. That cost him some time.
Hits that inside curb, comes all the way out close to the safer barrier. Well, he's not going to lock himself in right now. He crosses the line, and he's ahead of Blaney and Ave, but Gilliland's now locked in with Joe Nemechek. Stay with us. More to come. Back here at Watkins Glen, Bobby Labonte on his home stretch run. Checker flag is out, and as he comes across the stripe, boy, he really jumps it up there. 1:12.5, locks himself in along with Joe Nemechek and David Gilliland. Right now, J.J. Yeley, Dave Blaney, and Tony Ave are sweating bullets. Total of 41 cars have taken times, 5 more to go. As we mentioned, 3 to go home. So Bobby safely ensconced in the field, and that'll bring us up to the 36 of Ron Fellows.
He was fast yesterday.
He was the second quickest yesterday of the go or go homers, and while he's on his warm-up lap, let's talk a little bit about baseball because we've got action on ESPN both Sunday and Monday night. And first up will be the Red Sox with Josh Beckett back. He'll be on the mound against the rival New York Yankees, led by A-Rod on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 Eastern. Then on ESPN's Monday Night Baseball, 7 Eastern, we've got the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds. Both games available on ESPN3.com.
Because Red Sox will be ready for those Yankees.
Yeah, take my son Zach over there. As long as these boys all behave tomorrow afternoon, we'll be there Sunday night. Watch the Yankees and Red Sox, and hopefully another Yankees win.
Oh, golly. Alan Bessick will be running up here to the booth to get equal time. Yeah,
I know who won.
Yeah, the Red Sox. That's right.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, let's talk a little bit more about Ron Fellows. He has 21 Sprint Cup starts, all but 1 on the road courses. He has a total of 7 car, truck win combinations here at the Glen, 3 in the Nationwide Series, 2 in the truck, and 2 in the NASCAR East Series. Whoa, a little smoke there.
So what you saying? He can pretty much drive anything here?
I've seen him literally drive everything here. Sports cars, you name it. In fact, the only thing I haven't seen him in is an Indy car because he's so darn tall, I don't think he could fit.
Got a good lap going here.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, yeah, we're switching over to the pole because he's flying good enough to get himself safely in the show.
Look back on that tracker, you can see how he beat Carl Edwards through turn 1.
Yeah, he's positioned himself to get inside the top 20 here.
He's going to start 12th a little bit later this afternoon in the NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Here he comes through turn 6. He's looking at a position 23rd, now up to 21st. Back to 23rd through the final corner. Right up against the rumble strips, down the front straightaway, and Ron in the field and Palmer's in the 20th position, 1:12.09 seconds. Yeah, heads on back to the garage area. It still means Yaley, Blaney, and Ave are sitting in a precarious situation. How about Ron Fellows? His 3 nationwide wins here at the Glen. Remember, he had the Bully Hill colors for a lot of those. Stay with us. On track right now at Watkins Glen, P.J. Jones in the second Robbie Gordon car as he is coming down the front straightaway with checkered flag in hand. And does he make it into the field? Yes, he does, with a nice run of 1:13.34 seconds. Locks himself in. And probably should take the moment while we have it, wishing Dad Parnelli Jones a happy 77th birthday coming up August 12th. And while he comes on out, August 11th, you better remember a birthday in your family, too, there, big boy.
Older brother Glenn?
Notice he said older.
Yes. Yeah, he's way old. No.
Well, we've got a moment. Let's talk to Bobby Labonte. How about it, Dave?
And, Marty, he's solidly in the field. Did you like your lap?
I was just way too conservative. I watched TV all morning. It probably is the worst thing that could have happened. If I'd have gone early, I might have been better off. But sitting around watching TV, I was like, man, I hope I don't do that. I hope I don't do this. So I thought it was pretty conservative on my part. I'm sure we can look at the lap tracker when we get back to the hauler and see where I missed a half a second, I'm sure, just on entry to corners. And, you know, the car felt a little bit better. Tom and Jim made some changes, and Nick, and it was a little bit better. So hopefully for the race tomorrow will be better.
All right, appreciate it, Bobby. He's seen a lot of laps here and has the 09 car in the field. Turning around to Ron Fellows here, who has put the 36 car in the field as well. What was that lap like for you?
Actually, the car was quite good. The issue is, as always, you know, trying to make sure you get in the show, and I was cautious in the brake zones, but that's the best it's been. I'm happy with that, and now we can sleep. Now we're in the race.
No, you can't sleep because you have a nationwide race, but you can sleep tonight after you win that, right?
Well, bouncing back and forth, it's just, you know, the pressure these guys are under week in, week out to get them in the show. And then, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. But I'll tell you what, Tommy and the guys have done a really good job. Yeah, we've been bouncing around anywhere from 10th to 20th in practice. So I'm proud of the effort they put in, and for a small operation. And thanks, Richie Gilmore.
Yeah, he had a lot to do with that. Good for Ron to jump in the 36, and a good lap for him, getting that in the show, guys.
Yes, it was. And right now, Patrick Carpentier is going to be trying to give himself a good run. He's going to turn 39, speaking of birthdays, on August 17th. And as you can see, we switched over to his run compared to pole sitter Carl Edwards because he is hustling.
Yeah, great road racer. Has a great feel for the car. Just does a tremendous job. He's been in a number of different cars here and just knows how to get it done. You can see right now.
He's somewhere a great driver, period. Yeah. You know, he's had a stint in this series, but I'm sure he'd like to get back because he showed a lot of promise.
He really did. Even on and we're not just talking the road courses. You're talking ovals too, I think. Yeah.
Great view from high above as you can see him coming through that final corner.
Yeah, looking at a top 20 run here.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Patrick doing a nice job. Look at this all the way up. It looks like it's going to be about 16th, 17th. 1 minute 11.
Great job, bud. Great job. Make sure you got to turn your fans on. You got to turn in right there on the right.
It's Frankie Stoddard, the crew chief, talking to him.
So the 1996 Toyota Atlantic champion who ran multiple seasons in the old kart series is safely in this field. And what it means is bad news for Tony Ave, because Ave has now been put on the trailer as we have 2 more cars yet to go. And those still vulnerable are J.J. Yaley and Dave Blaney. And the next to last on the track will be Michael McDowell. He has one other prior start here in Sprint Cup Series action back in 2008. When he finished 25th.
Yeah, these last 2 guys are really good road racers, too. We know anything can happen as you go out to make a qualifying effort here, but Michael McDowell and Max Pappas.
Yeah, in fact,
very accomplished.
In fact, in the go or go home category, McDowell was 4th quickest in final practice, and Max Pappas, still to come, was the best.
Mad Max. I'm sure he's going to lay down a good lap.
Michael doing double duty, one of the 13. Boy, came over that awfully rough. He's going to start 15th. Yeah, I know. Starts 15th in the nationwide race, which is coming up next right here on ESPN.
Turn 5 is going to be such an interesting corner as we get to the nationwide race this afternoon and then the Cup race tomorrow. I'm just Anxious to see these guys try to come off of there too wide and what's going to transpire at the exit.
It's going to be fun from here.
Well, I think the bus stop's going to be fun too, because I think you're going to see a lot of people trying to stuff their nose underneath somebody, and we'll see the fireworks as we're watching right now. Michael McDowell compared to J.J. Yaley, and it looks like he is on his way to safely putting his car in the field. Let's switch it over to pole sitter Carl Edwards.
That's a good lap now. He's tracking 13th up through the back straightaway, 8th and 11th. See how he gets through this bus stop.
Yeah, probably a little conservative getting there, which is a smart thing in his position.
Amazing how much time, though, he can lose right there.
Through turn 5, heading now up to the final 2 corners here at Watkins Glen on this 2.45-mile layout. And it looks like McDowell is going to put himself safely in the field. He's got one more corner to negotiate, and this will be bad news for David Gilliland. Great view of him coming out of the final corner, down the front straightaway. And as he takes the checkered flag, Michael McDowell is safely in the field, 3rd quickest of the go-or-go-homers. And that means David Gilliland is still in, and it's J.J. Yaley, the man on the bubble. Well, let's check in with Patrick Carpentier, Dave.
And excited to get another 90 laps in a Cup car here at the Glen, I assume, after that qualifying run?
Yeah, I'm really happy. That's about what I did in my mind last night, 90 laps to qualify this thing. But I'm really happy. The guys did a good job. It was loose yesterday. They fixed it up. And, I mean, when I first went out, I was like, oh, this is a pretty good car. So I'm really happy. And we're shooting to do the whole race and hopefully do well. So we'll see.
And difficult to work with a new team and communicate what you needed and for them to get it right.
Yeah, I mean, Frank's been doing a great job. I mean, yesterday we talked and improved the car and changed the car. We've got a great race car, so I want to thank Air National Guard. I mean, it's great. Top 20, we're pretty happy.
Patrick Carpentier in the 26th this weekend in the show, Marty.
He certainly is. He's always fun to watch, too, as we have one more car out on track still to qualify, and Mad Max Pappas. You see his best start, 16th back in the race last year. He finished 8th in that event. He did not qualify to field for the Brickyard 400 the week before that.
Work this any harder than what Max Pappas goes about this. He studies, and he just, and that shows. You can see the improvement on all types of racetracks. Obviously, this is where he's a little more comfortable in this type of scenario. But he's just very passionate about wanting to do this and making it work. And he loves it when he gets in the races and has a chance to race all day.
J.J. Yaley is the man who is sitting on the bubble right now. It's either Yaley in and Max out, or the other way around.
Turn 2, Max lost a lot of time.
Still in the green, though, as he heads down for the bus stop.
Oh, yeah, you can see he really got in there. Really good.
Boy, look how smooth.
Yeah.
Man, that was smooth.
That's where Yaley really lost a lot of his time on his qualifying effort, so you could see that Max really distanced himself right there.
Well, this is bad news for J.J. Yaley fans, but great news for Max Pappas' fans, because he's got 2 more corners. You can see he is well safely into the green. Looking like he might be up around the 28th best time. Down through the final corner. And this will put a button on qualifying for tomorrow's race here in Sprint Cup action at Watkins Glen. And Pappas, a minute 12.46 seconds. So
we're in easy. Good job.
the 3 that go home are Yaley, Blaney, and Ave. And we'll wrap things up and set the stage for the Nationwide Series event coming up next here on ESPN. So back here at Watkins Glen, let's show you the starting field. Carl Edwards with his 5th pole in his 215th start. The top 4 guys all have their best Watkins Glen starting positions.
We still have Tony Stewart right back there, though. He is lurking.
Yeah, he won last year from the 13th position. Now he's going to start 6th.
Yeah, and we know how many times that our winner comes from up here towards the front of the field.
It is quite frequently, and there you see on down through. Marcus Ambrose thought he might be up a little higher in this field, but he's going to be on the inside of row number 6. There you see the Gordons side by side, Robbie with Jeff.
See Kevin Harvick, point leader there, starting 20.
Mark Martin down in the outside of the 12th row.
Yeah, not exactly where Mark wanted to be back in that 24th spot, but the one thing that he can look at and see that he's well ahead of Clint Boyer, who's in that 12th spot.
And there you see Boyer on the outside of row number 17. Right behind him will be Casey Kane. Then there's Dale Earnhardt Jr. still looking for a lot of answers in the 40th starting position.
Long way to go.
Quavel, Conway, and Gilliland round out the 43-car field. And as we mentioned, J.J. Yaley, Dave Blaney, and Tony Ave are the three that are sent home after qualifying. Let's talk quickly. What do you expect to see in this race tomorrow, guys?
Well, I think a lot of racing. I think that the areas that they've made improvements in, mostly for safety, are going to give us some more racing opportunities side by side and probably a little beating and banging. I look at this more as a short track race tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, and he's got Marcus Ambrose starting back a little ways. Going to be fun watching him pass cars.
All right, let's set the calendar for you because coming up next, we've got the NASCAR Nationwide Series and then NASCAR Now, both on ESPN2 tomorrow at 9 a.m., presented by 5 Hour Energy, and then tomorrow night at 11 Eastern. And as far as our Sprint Cup coverage, well, it's right here at the Glen, presented by GoDaddy.com, tomorrow at 1 Eastern on ESPN with our coverage starting at 12 noon with NASCAR Countdown. This beautiful day is going to continue here at Watkins Glen. Hope you've enjoyed our qualifying efforts for both the Nationwide Series and Sprint Cup action. As right now, we're going to send it over to the pit studio, get the Nationwide boys to go racing. And for that, we'll send it to Alan Bestwick. Alan, it's all yours.